In the small town of Maplewood, life usually moved at a gentle pace. Neighbors waved as they passed, children played freely in the streets, and the local coffee shop was always buzzing with familiar faces exchanging friendly chatter. It was the kind of place where people left their doors unlocked and trusted one another without question. But that quiet bubble was about to burst in a way no one expected. It all started with a missing piece of jewelry, a delicate gold bracelet, passed down through generations of the same family. The bracelet wasn't just valuable. It was sentimental, filled with memories and love. When it vanished from a home near the town center, suspicion quickly took root. But what shocked everyone even more was where the bracelet was last seen: the local daycare center. Maplewood's Bright Beginnings Daycare had been a trusted place. For years, parents felt safe dropping off their children there, confident the caregivers were kind and reliable. So when the police quietly began investigating one of the daycare workers, rumors and whispers began spreading fast. People found it hard to believe that someone they had welcomed into their children's lives might be involved in something wrong. The accused was a woman named Susan, a warm, friendly person who had worked at Bright Beginnings for over a decade. To many, she was like family. She sang songs to the kids, organized birthday parties, and comforted frightened toddlers. No one could imagine Susan stealing anything, let alone something so precious. Yet the evidence was piling up, and the police felt they had no choice but to bring the case to court. The town was divided. Some believed Susan was innocent, convinced someone else must be responsible. Others felt betrayed and worried about what this meant for the children's safety. The local newspaper ran daily updates, and the small courtroom where the trial was set to take place became a focal point for the community. Families packed the benches, eager for answers, anxiety written across their faces. In the midst of all this stood Lily, a tiny 3-year-old girl with bright eyes that seemed too old for her age. Lily had been at Bright Beginnings on the day the bracelet disappeared. She didn't speak much yet, at least not in words anyone could understand, but she remembered more than anyone realized. Since the incident, she had grown quiet and withdrawn, often clutching her favorite blanket, seeking comfort in the familiar softness during long, uncertain days. Her mother, Emily, was desperate for clarity. She knew her daughter had witnessed something important, but with Lily so young, it was difficult to know how to get the truth out. Emily attended every hearing, sitting silently as lawyers argued back and forth, hoping for some breakthrough that could clear Susan's name or reveal what really happened. The case wasn't just about a missing bracelet anymore. It was about trust, innocence, and the fragile line between truth and misunderstanding. Every day, the tension in Maplewood grew thicker. Parents whispered in grocery stores. Children sensed the unease around them. And in the courtroom, the pressure mounted. On the morning of one particularly important hearing, the judge called the court to order. Reporters leaned forward in their seats. The public waited with bated breath. No one knew that the moment that would change everything was about to come, not from a lawyer, witness, or piece of evidence, but from the smallest, quietest person in the room. Lily sat close to her mother, her gaze fixed on something others couldn't see. And then, as if summoned by an unseen force, the door to the courtroom opened, and in walked Max, the police dog. Max wasn't just any dog. He was trained to help in investigations, yes, but also to bring calm to the frightened, especially children. His presence was meant to comfort Lily, to give her a friend she could trust in a place that felt cold and strange. For a moment, the courtroom held its breath. The calm giant with soft eyes padded silently to Lily's side. And as Lily reached out, something remarkable was about to happen, something that would ripple through the courtroom and the entire town of Maplewood, changing the course of the trial forever. Lily's small hand trembled slightly as it reached out to Max. The dog lowered his head, letting her brush his soft fur. It was the first sign of life from her, in days, perhaps even weeks. Max's calm presence seemed to soothe something deep inside her, a gentle bridge between fear and comfort. The courtroom, once tense and silent, watched quietly, sensing this moment was something special. Lily had never been a talkative child. From the moment she started speaking, her words had been few and carefully chosen. But since the bracelet disappeared and the accusations began, she had shut down almost entirely. Emily, her mother, had spent countless nights lying awake, wondering what her daughter had seen, what she remembered, and why she couldn't or wouldn't say it out loud. At home, Lily clung to her favorite blanket and a small blue teddy bear, soft from years of hugs and bedtime stories. She never let the bear out of her sight. Emily noticed that Lily's eyes often drifted toward that bear, even during the trial, as if it held answers no one else could understand. Emily had tried everything: gentle questioning, games, even visits to child therapists. Nothing seemed to unlock Lily's silence. She wasn't afraid to speak. It was more like she was protecting herself from something painful she couldn't explain. The adults around her had their suspicions, but no one dared push too hard. They knew children's memories were fragile, easily tangled by fear or confusion. Lily wasn't just quiet, she was watching everything in the courtroom, every expression, every word, every glance. She was absorbing it all in her own way, her young mind piecing together a puzzle no one else could see clearly yet. As Max stayed close, Lily's eyes brightened. She followed him with her gaze, even attempting a small smile for the first time. In days, Emily whispered softly, "You're safe now, baby. You don't have to be scared." But Lily just nodded silently. The prosecution and defense argued heatedly over who was responsible for the missing bracelet. The prosecution insisted Susan had taken it, pointing to inconsistencies in her story and the timeline of events. The defense countered, highlighting Susan's spotless record and the lack of direct evidence. Both sides asked tough questions, but none seemed to reach Lily. Then came a break in the session, and Max's handler, Officer Daniels, knelt beside Lily. He spoke softly to the dog, giving him a simple command. Max wagged his tail and leaned gently toward Lily again. In that quiet courtroom, a soft moment unfolded between the dog and the little girl that felt almost like magic. Emily watched, heart pounding, as Lily leaned in closer to Max. The room held its breath again, sensing something about to happen, something that might finally change the course of the trial. And then Lily whispered it. Just 2 words, barely audible. "Blue bear." No one in the courtroom moved. The judge paused, the attorneys looked up sharply, and the officers exchanged surprised glances. Emily's heart skipped a beat. The phrase was so simple, yet so unexpected. What could it mean? Officer Daniels stepped forward quietly. "We found a small blue teddy bear at the daycare the day the bracelet disappeared," he explained. It was overlooked at first because it seemed unrelated. But now, thanks to Lily, we're taking another look. Suddenly, the entire courtroom was focused on a piece of evidence that had been sitting in a box, forgotten. The blue bear. Lily's whisper had opened a door no one else had thought to open. The bear, once just a comfort toy, was now a key piece in the puzzle. The prosecutor asked for a recess, hoping to investigate this new lead. As the courtroom emptied, Emily knelt down beside Lily, brushing her hair gently. "Thank you, sweetheart," she whispered. But Lily only looked up with wide eyes, as if unsure what had just happened. That night, back at home, Emily held Lily close. She wondered what memories her daughter had locked away so carefully, and whether those 2 small words would finally bring the truth into the light. For the first time since the case began, hope flickered in Emily's heart. Maybe, just maybe, Lily's quiet bravery would help heal their broken world. Max wasn't just any police dog. From the moment he joined the Maplewood Police Department, he had earned a reputation not only for his keen nose, but also for his extraordinary calmness around children. His deep, warm eyes and gentle demeanor made him a favorite in the community, especially among the youngest residents, who sometimes found the world confusing and scary. Max's handler, Officer Daniels, had trained him not just for crime scenes, but also to provide comfort. When a child was frightened or overwhelmed, Max would instinctively sense it and lean in just enough to offer reassurance. His presence was often the difference between tears and smiles during difficult moments. That morning in the courtroom, when Max entered, the atmosphere shifted. The stern judge briefly smiled. The lawyers softened their tones. Even the hardened reporters took note. It wasn't just a dog walking into the room. It was a symbol of hope. Lily's mother, Emily, had been nervous. Would Max help or frighten her daughter? But as Max approached, his steady gaze locked on Lily, and the little girl's eyes brightened for the first time in what felt like forever. She reached out, timid at first, then with more confidence, brushing her tiny fingers along Max's thick fur. The courtroom was still, watching this silent exchange. In that moment, Max became more than a police dog. He became a bridge, a gentle presence that connected Lily to a world she was too young to navigate alone. Officer Daniels knelt beside Lily, speaking softly to Max. The dog lowered his head, allowing Lily to whisper directly into his ear. Everyone in the courtroom leaned forward, straining to hear what the toddler would say, but the words were barely audible. "Blue bear," Lily whispered. The courtroom erupted quietly, not with noise, but with stunned disbelief. The words didn't seem like much, but for those paying close attention, they were a spark. The blue bear was a detail that hadn't been fully explored. Back at the daycare, the staff remembered the small blue teddy bear. It had been part of the playroom's toy collection, often cuddled by the children. When the police first arrived, they had swept the daycare quickly, focused on obvious clues. The bear was nearly forgotten, just a child's toy, or so they thought. But now, thanks to Lily and Max, the forgotten blue bear became a key piece of evidence. The officers sent a team to examine it more closely, hoping to find new leads. Officer Daniels watched as Lily leaned against Max, her breathing steady and calm for the first time in days. Max's role was clear. He wasn't just a working dog. He was a protector, a friend, a silent listener for the little girl's unspoken fears. As the trial continued over the next few days, Max was a constant presence. He sat patiently beside Lily, his calmness helping her stay grounded amidst the chaos of court proceedings. Sometimes, when Lily's eyes grew wide with confusion or fear, Max nudged her hand gently with his nose, reminding her she wasn't alone. Outside the courtroom, the townspeople began to notice the unusual partnership between the child and the dog. It wasn't just a case anymore. It was a story about innocence, trust, and the quiet strength of a little girl who found her voice in the softest way possible. Emily found comfort in Max's presence too. She often thanked Officer Daniels, grateful beyond words for the dog who had become her daughter's protector. "He's more than a dog," she said once, tears in her eyes. "He's a lifeline." Meanwhile, the police forensic team worked tirelessly to connect the blue bear to the missing bracelet. They tested fibers and fingerprints, hoping to uncover something that would confirm Lily's whisper. The unexpected partnership between a toddler and the police dog was changing the trajectory of the case. It reminded everyone that sometimes the smallest voices and gentlest companions hold the biggest truths. For Lily, Max was more than just a dog in a courtroom. He was a friend who understood without words, offering comfort in a world that suddenly felt less scary. And for the town of Maplewood, Max's presence was a reminder that hope and justice sometimes come from the most unexpected places. The courtroom was tense as the trial entered a crucial stage. Lawyers exchanged sharp glances, witnesses testified, and the judge listened intently. But beneath the formal words and legal arguments, a silent moment was about to rewrite the entire story, all because of a whisper no one expected. Lily, still clinging quietly to Max's fur, seemed smaller than ever amid the towering adults and heavy oak benches. Her soft voice had been absent for weeks, but now, with Max by her side, something inside her shifted. When Lily whispered those two simple words, "Blue Bear," the courtroom froze. No one immediately understood what the tiny phrase meant, until Officer Daniels quietly reminded the court about the small stuffed animal found at the daycare. The blue bear, at first glance, seemed insignificant. It was a well-loved toy, worn at the seams from years of hugs and play. But in cases like this, even the smallest detail could be the key to unlocking the truth. The prosecution requested a recess to investigate the bear again. Outside the courtroom, detectives carefully examined it, searching for any hidden clues. It wasn't long before they found something remarkable. Underneath the bear's fuzzy surface were traces of a unique fiber, one that matched fibers found on the missing bracelet's case. Even more surprising, partial fingerprints appeared on a hidden part of the bear, fingerprints that didn't belong to the daycare worker or the family, but hinted at another person's involvement. The discovery sent ripples through the investigation. Suddenly, the simple blue bear was no longer just a child's toy. It was evidence. It connected Lily's quiet world with the bigger picture everyone had been trying to understand. Back in the courtroom, the mood shifted. The judge called everyone back to order. The lawyers now had to address the new evidence, and the defense scrambled to adjust their strategy. Emily watched her daughter closely. Lily didn't understand the weight of what she'd done. To her, it was a small act, a whisper to a friend. She trusted, a dog who had comforted her when everything else felt too scary. But to the courtroom, the message was clear. Lily's innocent words had cracked the case open. The prosecution presented the new findings carefully, showing the jury photos of the blue bear and explaining how the fibers and fingerprints linked it to the stolen bracelet. The evidence contradicted the earlier narrative and raised questions about who had really taken the heirloom. Witnesses who had seemed confident before now hesitated. The defense attorney's arguments grew more desperate, trying to cast doubt on the evidence. But the jury could see the story changing before their eyes. Throughout it all, Lily remained calm. Max stayed close, his steady presence a reminder that she was safe. For the first time in weeks, Lily's silence spoke volumes, a quiet courage that inspired everyone watching. Outside the courtroom, news of the blue bear spread quickly. The town buzzed with curiosity and hope. Parents talked about the power of children's honesty and the remarkable bond between a little girl and a police. Dog Emily felt a mix of relief and awe. She had always believed Lily was stronger than her silence suggested, but seeing how her daughter's small whisper could make such a difference filled her heart with pride. The case was no longer just about a missing bracelet or an accusation. It was about truth coming to light in unexpected ways, through innocence, trust, and a whisper carried on a gentle breath. As the trial moved forward, everyone knew the blue bear had changed everything. And deep down, Lily's brave whisper echoed in the minds of those present. Sometimes, the smallest voice can carry the heaviest truth. After the courtroom recess, the investigation into the blue bear intensified. What once seemed like an insignificant toy now held the power to unravel the tangled web of suspicion and doubt surrounding the missing bracelet. The officers knew they were standing on the edge of a breakthrough, and the atmosphere in the police station buzzed with anticipation. Detectives carefully examined the bear, using the latest forensic techniques to uncover every hidden detail. Fibers embedded deep in the bear's seams, matched the rare fabric found on the jewelry box where the bracelet had been kept. But it was the fingerprints that drew the most attention. Partial prints on a patch inside the bear that didn't match the accused daycare worker, Susan, or any known family members. Officer Daniels and his team worked late into the night, cross-referencing the fingerprints with the police database. Finally, a match appeared. The prints belonged to a maintenance worker at the daycare, someone who had access but had never been questioned seriously before. This revelation shifted the entire case. Emily sat quietly in the courtroom, holding Lily's hand tightly. She had followed the twists and turns of the investigation with a mixture of hope and fear. Could this new discovery finally clear Susan's name? Could it explain the mystery that had cast a shadow over her daughter's world? Back at the police station, officers brought the maintenance worker in for questioning. At first, he denied any involvement, claiming ignorance. But faced with the mounting evidence, the blue bear, the fibers, and his fingerprints, his story began to unravel. He admitted to moving the blue bear on the day the bracelet disappeared. He had found it near a window, close to where the bracelet's case was stored, and had shifted it to another shelf. Though he claimed he didn't take the bracelet, his actions unintentionally obscured key evidence, complicating the investigation. This confession raised more questions. Why had he moved the bear? Had he seen the bracelet? The police dug deeper, reviewing security footage and interviewing staff and parents. Slowly, a clearer picture emerged. The bracelet had slipped from its case. During the children's playtime, accidentally dropped behind a shelf where the blue bear was usually kept. The maintenance worker had moved the bear, but hadn't noticed the bracelet beneath. In his nervousness, he hadn't come forward earlier. With this explanation, Susan's involvement became increasingly unlikely. The prosecution's case weakened, and the courtroom atmosphere shifted from confrontation to cautious optimism. The judge allowed the new evidence to be presented, and the defense seized the opportunity to highlight the possibility of innocent mistakes and misunderstandings. The jury listened carefully, weighing each detail. Lily, still quiet, sat beside Max, who seemed to sense the change in the room. His steady presence comforted her as the trial moved toward its climax. Outside, the community watched with growing hope. The story of the blue bear and the whisper that had revealed it became a symbol of truth and the unexpected ways justice could be served. Emily felt a swell of gratitude. Her daughter's quiet courage had set off a chain reaction, bringing clarity where there had been confusion and fear. As the trial neared its end, the weight of Lily's whisper hung in the air, proof that sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest power. The courtroom was no longer just a place of judgment. It had become a place of healing. The courtroom was silent as the jury filed back in after their deliberation. Weeks of tension and uncertainty had brought everyone to this moment, the verdict. Emily sat at the edge of her seat, holding Lily's small hand tightly. Max, calm and steady beside them, gave Lily a reassuring nudge with his nose. The judge looked over the courtroom, his face serious but fair. "Have you reached a verdict?" he asked the four-person. The four-person stood and cleared their throat. "We have, Your Honor." The room seemed to hold its breath as the words began. "We, the jury, find the defendant Susan not guilty of all charges." A wave of relief washed over Emily. Tears filled her eyes as the tension she'd carried for so long began to lift. Around the room, whispers and soft gasps spread among the spectators. Susan, standing nearby, let out a deep breath, her shoulders relaxing for the first time in weeks. But the courtroom wasn't finished yet. The judge called for order and continued. Thanks to the courage of a young child and the assistance of a police dog, new evidence came to light, revealing the truth behind this case. Emily glanced down at Lily, who was clutching Max's fur, her wide eyes reflecting a mix of fatigue and wonder. It was hard to believe that her little girl, the one who had barely spoken since the ordeal began, had played such a vital role. Max's handler, Officer Daniels, smiled quietly, proud of the dog's part in the unfolding story. The courtroom had witnessed a rare moment where innocence and determination combined to uncover justice. After the verdict, Susan approached Emily and Lily, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered, bending to hug Lily gently. "You're so brave." The townspeople outside the courthouse erupted in conversations about the trial's unexpected ending. For many, it was a reminder that justice isn't always found through loud declarations or dramatic testimonies. It often comes through quiet moments, a whispered word, or the loyal presence of a gentle friend. Emily felt her heart swell with gratitude. She knew the journey had been painful, but it had also revealed a strength within Lily that no one had fully seen before. The little girl's courage and Max's comforting companionship had changed everything. Back at home, Emily watched as Lily played quietly with her blue bear, now clean and carefully preserved as a reminder of the trial. The bracelet had been found tucked away safely behind a shelf, exactly where Lily had hinted it might be. Emily knelt beside Lily and whispered, "You helped so many people, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you." Lily smiled softly, reaching out to hug her mother. She still didn't speak much, but Emily understood that words weren't always necessary. The bond between Lily and Max had become unbreakable. The dog had been more than a helper during the trial. He had been a friend and protector, helping Lily find her voice in the quietest way possible. In the weeks that followed, the town of Maplewood celebrated the unexpected heroes of the case. A tiny girl and a faithful dog who had shown that even the smallest voices could make the biggest difference. Emily often thought about that day in the courtroom, when Lily whispered two words that changed everything. It was a reminder that hope and truth could come from the most unlikely places, and that sometimes the bravest thing was simply to speak up. The verdict marked the end of the courtroom drama, but for Emily and Lily, the journey toward healing was just beginning. The small house where they lived now felt lighter, brighter, as if the heavy shadow that had hung over their lives was finally lifting. Lily's world was slowly coming back into focus. Though she still didn't speak much, Emily noticed little changes each day. A new sparkle in her eyes, a willingness to reach out for Max's leash during their daily walks, even a soft hum as she played quietly with her blue bear. These small moments were powerful signs of recovery. Emily knew healing would take time. The trauma of being caught in a confusing, frightening situation was not something a toddler could shake off overnight. But the gentle routine of family, friends, and Max's constant presence provided a steady foundation. Max, the once courtroom hero, had settled into his role as Lily's protector at home. The dog's soft eyes and steady heartbeat were a source of comfort during sleepless nights and quiet afternoons. When Lily was scared or overwhelmed, Max was there, nudging her hand or resting his head gently on her lap. Emily reached out to a child therapist who specialized in trauma recovery, hoping to support Lily's silent healing. The therapist introduced playful methods, using art and storytelling to help Lily express feelings she couldn't yet put into words. One afternoon, during a session, Lily surprised everyone. She picked up a crayon and carefully drew a picture of a blue bear next to a shining bracelet. It wasn't a perfect drawing, but it was the first time she had communicated about the ordeal in a way everyone could understand. Emily's eyes filled with tears as she watched. It was a breakthrough, a sign that Lily was beginning to process the past and move forward. Word of Lily's courage and Max's role had spread beyond Maplewood. Local newspapers ran stories about the little girl who whispered the key words and the police dog who listened. Calls and letters of support poured in from families who had faced their own struggles. The community rallied around Emily and Lily, offering help, friendship, and understanding. A local school arranged a small ceremony to honor Lily's bravery, and Max's service, inviting townspeople to celebrate hope and resilience. For Emily, the experience had changed her view of strength. It wasn't always about loud voices or grand gestures. Sometimes strength was quiet, found in a whisper, in a child's trust, or in a loyal dog's gentle nudge. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Emily sat with Lily and Max on the porch swing. Lily rested her head on Emily's shoulder, while Max lay at their feet, his tail thumping softly. "Thank you, Max," Emily whispered, squeezing the dog's collar gently. "You saved my daughter's voice." Max wagged his tail as if he understood, his calm presence a reminder of the journey they had all been on. The bracelet, once a symbol of loss and confusion, now represented hope. It was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, light could break through, sometimes carried by the smallest voices and the most faithful friends. As the night settled in, Emily felt a quiet peace. The battle in the courtroom was over, but the healing was ongoing. With each new day, Lily's voice grew stronger, not always spoken, but always felt. And in that silent strength, Emily found a future filled with possibility. Months had passed since the courtroom verdict, but the story of Lily and Max continued to inspire everyone who heard it. What began as a frightening ordeal had transformed into a tale of hope, courage, and the unexpected bonds that can heal even the deepest wounds. Lily was changing every day. Her silence was no longer filled with fear, but with curiosity and quiet strength. She had started attending preschool again, where her teachers marveled at her progress. She still leaned on Max during the day. The gentle dog had become her protector in the classroom, as well as at home. Emily watched her daughter's growth with a mixture of relief and pride. The trials had tested their family in unimaginable ways, but the love and resilience they found in each other were stronger than any challenge. The community of Maplewood had embraced the story as more than just a legal victory. It became a reminder that justice is sometimes found not in loud declarations or harsh judgments, but in the quiet whispers of a child and the steady heartbeat of a loyal companion. In honor of the unlikely heroes, the town council organized a special event at the local park. A statue of Max was unveiled, a beautiful bronze sculpture capturing his calm, watchful eyes and gentle posture. Beneath it, a plaque read, "For courage, loyalty, and the quiet strength to bring truth to light." Emily stood beside Lily, who clutched Max's leash tightly as the crowd applauded. Tears filled Emily's eyes as she thought about the journey that had led them here, the fear, the silence, and finally the courage that changed everything. The statue wasn't just a tribute to Max, but to the power of trust, hope, and the small moments that shape our lives. Lily's story also sparked a new community initiative to support children facing trauma. The town raised funds to create a program offering therapy, animal-assisted support, and educational resources. Max's role as a therapy dog was officially recognized, and he continued to visit schools and hospitals, helping children find comfort and courage, just as he had helped Lily. Emily often reflected on how a single whisper had made such a difference. Sometimes the smallest voice can echo louder than we imagine, she told a local reporter. Lily showed us that bravery isn't about being the loudest, it's about being true to yourself, even when it's hard. The bracelet, once lost and forgotten, was now safely displayed in the town museum. It became a symbol of resilience, a reminder of the day, a toddler's soft words, and a police dog's gentle presence changed everything. Max retired from active duty, but remained an honored member of the police force. His legacy lived on in every life he touched, and in the heart of a little girl who found her voice with his help. Emily and Lily's lives settled into a new rhythm, one filled with hope, healing, and the quiet promise of tomorrow. The trauma they endured didn't define them. Instead, their courage and love created a story that would inspire generations. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills of Maplewood, Emily looked down at Lily, now laughing softly as she played with her. Blue Bear and Max resting nearby. The past was behind them, but its lessons remained clear in that moment. Emily understood something profound. Sometimes the smallest acts, a whispered word, a gentle nudge can change the world. And for Lily and Max, their story was just the beginning of a legacy that would live on forever.